Welcome to the Genius Talk podcast. I'm your host Atul Raj from the bestemailmarketer.com, and today we have Josh Knox with us. Josh, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
Yeah, brother. So, for our listeners who don't know you, can you tell them who you are and what you do?
Yeah, so I'm Josh. I own a company called NumX, and we are a payment processing fintech, if you will, a software. We integrate with high level and really most platforms that want to use us, but our main integration is with high level for your audience that uses high level. But yeah, that's what we do. We're in payment processing. We help people remove Stripe from the equation, so they don't have to use Stripe anymore. In fact, I was just looking at my Facebook group. A very large, well-known person who's processed over $1 million through Stripe just got kicked off today, over $200. So yeah, we help people get off of Stripe, don't deal with the hassle, don't worry about getting canceled or frozen, and pay less money.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, I'm curious, what made you start Numeric?
So basically what happened was I've had a career in sales and marketing. It's where I've always spent my time. I've been in a lot of different industries, marketing directors at national franchises. I've always done something in sales and marketing. I was doing some marketing for a payments company, a family-run payments company, and they had all of their marketing assets in a lot of different places, Squarespace, ClickFunnels, you name it. They had some type of marketing asset. And this was right around the time that High Level got launched. And so as just helping them run their marketing, right? I was a contract CMO for them. I found High Level, started paying attention to what High Level was doing, started moving their marketing assets over to High Level, and then was part of the Facebook group and noticed that a lot of people were complaining about payments. And so I got involved. I started answering questions and seeing where I could help folks. And that really turned into leaving that company and just starting this, building a software that would integrate with High Level. Back in the early days, right, 4 or 5 years ago, it was all through API stuff. And so it was really just filling a need in the marketplace because they had a problem, because people were getting kicked off of Stripe, and they're still getting kicked off of Stripe, as I just told you, right on my Facebook page right now. So yeah, that's how we got started. Just trying to solve problems for people.
By the way, it happened with me too.
Did it really? Bummer.
Yeah, a couple of years ago.
It's a real problem. It's a real problem.
It is. So how does numeric technology help agencies save money on payment processing?
So most people think of payments really one of two ways. In the US, we would say it's a hammer and everything else is a nail, right? So there's just one way to do payments. The other way they think of it is it's just a cost. It's just a cost of doing business. But the real way to think about it is actual strategy. And when you think about it strategically, the same way you think about a marketing message strategically, or how you build your website strategically, or a follow-up funnel or an email sequence, any of that stuff, there's strategy in it, and there is strategy in payments. And when you apply strategy to payments, then you need the right technology to apply that strategy. And we built that technology to apply what's called a dual pricing strategy. So not every one of our clients, but 99% of our clients use this dual pricing strategy to drop their costs between 50 and 90%. In fact, I've just put together 2 new case studies, and I'm working on a third. One is a 24-month case study. The other one is a 33-month case study. In the 24-month case study, we dropped costs 74%. And in the 33-month case study, we dropped it 90%. Simply because we use technology to implement a strategy. That's it. It's not a huge, heavy lift. It's not a big effort. We can just apply the right strategy and tie the right technology into it, and it works.
Okay, when you said strategy, you mean the agencies like thinking about some kind of payment process, and you help them make that happen?
So the current payment processing strategy is just take payments this way. Just plug in this provider and just take payments this way. It's one price. You don't give your customers any choices. They pay you, and they're typically going to pay you with a credit card, right? Because they want their airline miles, they want their rewards points, they want their cash back, right? Everybody wants something in return for spending money on a card. But when you give that same customer a choice to pay less money if they use a different type of card or a different type of payment method, such as through their bank account, then it dramatically drops your costs because you can then say, if you're going to use a credit card, this is the cost. But if you're willing to use a debit card or a bank account, we'll give you a little bit lower of a cost. But if you're okay with the other costs, go ahead, use your card, no problem for us. And then by doing that, by simply, the strategy is simply giving them one additional way to pay without an extra cost. They'll still choose the way with the extra cost, right? Because of the airline miles and so forth. Or they'll choose the way with no extra cost. When you do that, you're tapping into their buyer behavior, their inherent behavior to spend money the way they want to spend money. Does that make sense? So just strategically adding one extra method of payment gives you the advantage of dropping your costs in this way I just said, 74, 90%. Just depends.
Yeah. So, what's the biggest challenge most agency face while payment processing, and how does NumX solve it?
The biggest that's a great question. The biggest problem that agencies face is the fact that they're considered high risk. So high risk is a category in payment processing. There's multiple categories. There's lots of different ways to look at a business. But most agencies, if not all agencies, are considered high risk for several reasons. The first reason is you're taking payment online, right? This is not an e-com store that somebody bought a shirt, right? It's not Amazon where a product is shipped. It is a business that is taking payment through an invoice or a text to pay link or a website funnel form or whatever, right? Where the customer is entering that information, you may never see their face. You're certainly not verifying their driver's license, right? You're not looking at their driver's license when they use their card. Even if you got on a phone call with them, a Zoom call, let's say, that payment is still considered what's called card not present, and that is higher risk. The agency also sells products that's typically higher than $500. That adds risk to it. Most agencies, at least that I've seen, have only been in business for a few years. Sometimes they're reiterating themselves and they restructured. So their agency hasn't been around for, a decade or more. Then we look at bank account information. A lot of people just don't have cash flow. But ultimately, it is considered high risk because it's a card not present purchase. It's more than $500. And typically, an agency also have what's called future deliverability, meaning, and then a subscription, meaning it's going to take me some time to deliver the services to you. It's not the same as I ordered a coffee mug and it was shipped to me a couple days later or even a week later.
Yeah.
If I'm an agency, I might be delivering services over time, which therefore increases the risk of a chargeback. And all of that contributes to them just being lumped into a big bucket of high risk businesses. And so what we've seen happen over the years is Stripe, PayPal, those types of companies, while initially were very good for agencies, have shifted their own business model to want to get into enterprise spaces, right? Much bigger businesses doing multiple millions of dollars a month. And then lower risk businesses. They're more focused on their technology side of things than they are on the banking side of things. And I'm focused on both of those. And so what ends up happening is because they're high risk, right? Because they're running into issues where Stripe's bank in the back end is not interested in high risk, then the second that they run into a challenge, it's not worth Stripe to keep the account and they just cancel it or they freeze the money or they do both. And on the opposite end of the spectrum, we want that business. We want to work with agencies. I have 12 different banks that want high risk category merchants. So we're therefore actively looking for it while Stripe is actively getting away from it. That's really it. Make sense?
Yeah. So, is there anything else that you would like to say?
I mean, the reality is whoever's listening to this, don't use Stripe. Just get off of it. It's not worth the risk. It just isn't. Stripe is a great technology. I am in no way, shape, or form a Stripe hater. They clearly have a fantastic technology. It clearly works, but where it works has shifted. It has shifted away from agency owners, online businesses, and it has shifted more into personal, in-person services, products, that sort of thing. Whereas there are people like me, and I'm not the only one, that definitely want to work with agencies, people in high level, people doing higher risk stuff. We have surgeons that use us. They have a higher ticket amount, right? That becomes risky as well. So, I've had conversations with plastic surgeons that are also in trouble with Stripe because they run some kind of med spa part of their practice and somebody was upset and they charged back there too. So Stripe is just moving away from that type of business. They're just not interested. So use somebody like me and you won't have that problem.
Yeah, of course. Okay, brother. Thank you so much for spending some time with us.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks for having me on. It's good to get to talk to you and
And
hopefully this
yeah,
helps your audience.
for our listeners who want to use your payment method, where can they go?
They can go to numeric.com/installation. That's how they can get to us.
Thank you so much. It was really great chatting with you.
You bet. It was great being on. Thank you.